Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nick and this is Rocket Kid Designs. In the last video I told you I wanted to start filming my projects so I could start sharing them with you. In that same video I unboxed this RatRig Vcore-4 3D printer. It's a kit and I wanted to assemble it as a good way to kind of start filming my projects. Most of my projects are of my own design. They're not usually built from kits, but I thought this was a good way to get started back into filming, and I haven't seen any other videos on it. So I thought it would be good to kind of show how the process goes. Maybe you can learn something and have a little bit of fun with me along the way. But the first step in building this printer is building the frame. So we're going to jump into that now. So I have the parts here for the frame, and I have these here, which should be all the hardware needed. I haven't quite broke them down the rest of the way yet, but I think we're going to use these to build this, and I think these here are going to be the parts I want to use to assemble the frame. And we'll do a little test here. So the very first part of the instructions, of course, it tells you all these tools you need. I grabbed a bunch, but realistically we're going to end up pulling different tools off the tool wall over there as we get closer, or as we need them, I should say. Okay, so this is kind of cool. So you have a little grub screw, I guess you'd call that here. It appears that it fits into this, so I'm guessing when I tighten that it's gonna, will be more on this side, it'll pull that in. And then we have this piece. So these fit together like this. That goes in, and I think it's going to pull one end of the T-slot and this together. Well, probably not quite like that. Something like, it'll be... I guess what I'm doing here is I'm just threading these in enough for them to hold in place. I still need to get the right Allen wrench for that. I did not prepare that part ahead of time, and it looks like the sizes I grabbed are not right. Alright, so let me just show you what I got here real quick. So I just went through and assembled all of these. I'm probably going to have to take some of them apart. At least everything's sort of where it needs to be. And now we'll start figuring out which ones of these we want to install them into. So you can see these pre-drilled holes. They should be set up to work, kind of pull these together. I think one end of these looks a little different. But all these seem to have that hole drilled in them. Not all, but maybe most of them anyway. There are only 3 of the 20-inch ones, 21-inch ones, so it should be these ones. And it's basically saying I want to insert this into this end on every one of them. Ooh, tolerances are a little tight. This is going to be fun. Wonder if I need to grab a little mallet. Yeah, so putting all these together was sort of pointless, because in order to put these in you have to take it out anyway, and you want to push this through so that that hole lines up with this, and then that fits in there. Wow, that's very technical. Okay, so this is going to push down, this is going to slide into here, actually probably this way, into this, and when you tighten the grub screw on this side, it's going to pull this in and tighten whatever's attached to this into there. So I think this is going to work. It's going to be kind of cool. But since they're fitting so tight, I need to find a good way to knock them in without... And we've just decided on a dirty mallet and a carriage bolt. That'll work. Okay, so this is what happens when I read instructions. If I had done this my own way, I would not have assembled all of these first. So lining this is now going to be a huge pain in the you know what. Alright, let's see if you could see down there. See that this thing is turned just a little bit. Definitely should have done that a little bit different. So now we're going to see if I can realign it. I'm hoping so. This ain't going to work very well. Alright, let's knock it out the rest of the way and let's start over. This time we're just going to disassemble everything. Basically start over. I'm going to use this to get it straight to start with. I'm going to take it back out. There we go. Okay, so now, since I came in from that side, which I think is the way to go, I can insert this here. Wow. And that fits in there, but that little O-ring, man, that fit kind of tight. Not sure how I feel about that. Then we drop this here, and when we tighten that, it should pull that in. Oh, and it totally did too. That's pretty cool. Let me see if I can, you can see this here. When I insert this into the threads, now just look closely at that top bolt, and as I turn this, you can see that it's coming down and it's getting pulled in. It's subtle. That's enough to get it tight. That's a pretty cool system, okay? So we're going to do this to 2 more of them and get them prepped. These, so still have a few more to go. We'll basically have all these set up. Both sides. Still have a few to go. 5 of the 540 length ones, which must be these 5. And I realize it's kind of silly to switch things up on the last round, but I'm going to try something that might make this a little smoother. I think I might have a little more precision with a real hammer. So I'm going to try that. I think that was a good guess. So there we have it. Every one of these is in. All of those should be tied in, so when I start tightening this, it will pull these 2 together. All of those are done. Even got these ones with the holes in them. So I guess we will see what the next step is. All right, here we go. So we are on the RatRig website for their build guides. This is called ratrig.dozuki. I'm not sure if Dozuki is some sort of tool they use to do this, but anyway, they have all of their instructions here for all their various products. So we're going to go into the RatRig 3D printers, look at RatRig Vcore. In this case, we're working on the Vcore-4. Once you get to this page, you have basically the full machine build, which is almost everything, and then the upgrades, which we can get to after as we do IDEX and hybrid upgrades. Some of that's built into this one too, but we'll start here. So going in here, we already prepared everything, so we're good with that. We're working on the frame assembly now. You can see they have all the steps for everything. They have pretty much everything except for a lot of the documentation for tuning, and a lot of the stuff for dealing with the software, setting that up, and a lot of parameters, because there's quite a bit of that. So we're going to start with the frame assembly. So we've already done most of this. Just since this is the first time we're looking at this, briefly I'll show you that we have pretty good, clear images of the instructions, and they've color-coded everything. So these colors, these little dots, correspond to the arrows, and they do a pretty good job of walking you through how everything fits together. So I've really had pretty good luck working with this. But anyway, we'll skip through here. You can see we've done this. I've tried to show you these and how all these go together. And so we're in the process of assembling the frame. One thing I do like is they'll have these sections where they have you collect all of the parts. I mean, there are bags and bags of parts in boxes, and so it is kind of nice to gather all the stuff you need and then jump right into building once you have all those sitting there. So anyway, in this case, we've done all of this already, and I'm looking for this little 3D printed piece that's going to be a spacer and hold everything where we want it so we can tighten and assemble the next part of the frame. Oh, and really quick too, there's a section to add comments. So you can add comments, but you can also sign in here and edit things and basically post your edits for them to approve. And that comes in kind of handy because that helps keep all of these up to date. If there's any issues or anything you notice, you can actually suggest edits to be made to the instruction. And I did that a couple times going through this. I found a few errors, but I'm guessing by the time anyone that watches this video is building this, they will have fixed any errors that are in there. Okay, so we're looking for this 3D printed part. I'm going to show you really quick kind of how they expect us to use it, and then we'll go ahead and look forward and we'll do that for real. So here we're assembling the side panels, and those side panels are where this comes in. You can see the image here. They're showing where it's going to fit. In this next step it actually shows, so we'll pull this up. So essentially we're putting that here. It's going to snap into this piece of T-slot, and then we're going to slide it tight forward into this front piece here and go ahead and tighten those fasteners, and then we're going to do that on the top as well. Good thing I wasn't expecting that thing to be green. Pretty sure that's the part. Okay, so I have this. I have the 3, the 4, the 2, the 5. Then I need to have the 2 750 millimeters. All right, so it's actually 850 for my size machine. And it says I need 2. Oh, these each have different holes. Well, I'm glad they pointed that out. Okay. So this one has the holes. I don't know if you can see that. I hope so. I need 2 with those. Okay, so that'd be these 2 here. So once the 2 without the holes, the 2 with the holes, and then the 1 wide extrusion piece. It's the only one that's too wide, so it's got to be this one. And we got this part. That's what we're dealing with there. Okay, so it's asking me to start with these ones. Oh, that is different. That's good to know. So if they care about, there's this shiny side here. Basically the holes are countersunk on one side, and then they're just through on the other. So I need to make sure this is facing a particular direction. There's a couple things that they're saying you got to pay attention to on this, and that is this hole placement up here. Not sure you can even see it, but there's 3 holes, and they need to be with the 3 holes up towards the top. And as of now, it's showing that this would be the front of the printer over here, the rear. Saying to put this piece here with the 2 closer holes up, and then we want 1 more of these to go back here. So hopefully that T-slot kind of holds together like that. So we're going to turn it on its side, put these like this, and we're just going to put a little tension on there. We have that there for now. I think it's not bad. Okay, so now it's asking for the 440, so one of the 21-inch ones. And it wants this here. Alright, so at this point I realized after fighting this for some time that building this thing vertically was not a good idea. So the instructions show building all of this vertical, but I really think what's going on is it's the 3D models that they have. It's just easier to display it that way. So I got the impression as I was building it that vertical was what they were trying to tell me to do. But you can see here as I'm struggling to try to line all these things up, and of course with these T-nuts you have to insert them one direction and then you have to rotate them, but nothing is really rigid. All those are sort of floating in there, so when you go to turn one, sometimes it doesn't turn on one side but it turns on the other. So here you're seeing me struggle trying to get the top one to line up and also keep the bottom one locked in, and then of course that top piece is kind of sliding down on one side. I'm really struggling. You really need probably several hands to make all this work. So the best option is honestly just to lay it on its side, and that's what I'm about to do here. So now if we're lucky this will capture that. It should sort of pull this. Oh yeah, there we go. So now it's a matter of getting everything nice and square. Doesn't seem super likely here. Between the frame jig and the extrusions, tighten the quick connectors here together. So this is where this piece comes in. Basically, we sit here like this. I wonder if you could see that. So I'll show you. So we're going to take this and the whole assembly. We're going to push it tight this way, and this tight this way, and then we're going to tighten this. Although, okay, so here's the point that I realized that the fasteners were actually pointing the wrong direction, and the manual doesn't really call out. I suppose if you look pretty closely you'd see where they're supposed to be, but you start to realize as things start to come together that, hey, it'd make a lot more sense if these were consistent and all pointing in the same direction. Now, I thought about it as I was doing this, should they all point in or outside of the printer? It's kind of hard to tell. I just figured, you know what, let's make them all the same, and it ended up working out. Now, as I'm flipping these around and getting these right, I'm starting to see as things come together what the different parts are for and where they fit on the printer. So that's where the little spacing jig comes in here. And we talked about this a little bit ago. But of course, earlier on in the build, when they showed it in the manual, I didn't know where that was going to come into play. But as that stuff starts to come together, you start to really accelerate in the build, and you can see that here going forward. So anyway, we got that side fixed. Okay, so that one's tight. We're going to do the same thing up here. Okay, so now that that's done, I still think I need to make sure this upper piece is square. Yeah, it's not really giving me the right instructions in my opinion, so we're going to make sure that this is nice and square. And then we should be able to assume that this is square. It appears to be pretty good. That seems okay. I did put all of those on the outside, so I think I can adjust everything, which I think is going to be a good thing. Okay, so I need another one of these that doesn't have holes in it. That's not the right size. Alright, so I think that side panel is pretty much good. So evidently this is the left. I suppose that depends on which way you look at it. We're going to set that over here. And we're going to do the same thing to build the right. Okay, so we now have the right side. This piece is going to go between them. Because I'm pretty sure this is how these are going to mount together now. That's where those countersunk holes are going to go, or come in, I should say, come into play. Okay, I'm going to grab the right. So we got that. Not going to tighten these yet, but I am going to get them started on both sides. And these are going to come in like this. Okay, so I'm going to take these here, pop them together, and do a little twist. That should be pretty good. Do the same thing on this side. And then give it a little tighten everything to secure everything together, it says. Normally want to assemble a little more. Good thing I don't listen. I think I'm going to slowly work my way around to get everything tightened. Ouch. Use this to get us flush. Okay, thing needs to be a little bit tighter probably. Okay, it does say to do the other side, which is good because I was starting to wonder if maybe I was getting ahead of myself. Which I often do. Kind of flush everything up. I will say this is the first thing I've ever actually built from a kit that was T-slot. That part was a little tricky. Darn it. So evidently I need to use this thing, and then this needs to be 285 millimeters. I guess I do have a millimeter tape measure. I have to keep being difficult about this. That's, oh my gosh, there's no way. No way. Okay, hold on. You just watch me do this. I eyeballed it, right? It's supposed to be 285. What's that look like? No way. If I'm really that good, it'll match on both sides. Okay, we're a little off. Could go that way half a millimeter. And frankly, I'll probably adjust it. Okay. This would be easier if I wasn't working across that. Okay, here we are. Motor plates. Okay, so we got these. And essentially the way these are going to work, from what I can tell, they're going to go like this. Well, that doesn't seem right, does it? What? Oh, this is why they're making me do this in what seemed out of order. It's just so I can line these up. What a pain in the butt. Okay. You know what? It's temporary, right? I don't know what this is, but it feels like there's nothing to it. What? What is going on here? Ah, it's a wrong T-nuts. I'm on fire right now, guys. Yeah, that's going to be way too long. Pretty sure, because I can't see what I'm looking at here. So you know, that's what we're looking for. We're trying to do this step. Trying to install this here. It should look like this. I mean, that's all pretty easy, but I can't find the right hardware. These are what we're looking for. Okay, making progress. So we're going to line all these like this. Try to push them in. So let's loosen this guy. That's fine. I think I'm actually happy with what I did. It'll be fine. It's honestly, I did better. We're skipping this step. It's a good idea on their part. It's just not necessary. Okay. Moving on, because that was kind of a waste of time. Okay, so those are good. Now we need to put the top vertical pieces in. Oh, that's interesting. So that ain't flat. Interesting. I wonder what's causing that. You see that? I mean, it could have been, this could have jacked that up. Let's get the top on. Then we'll do some stuff and see what we can do. I definitely don't want it to have that twistiness in it. Basically, see this? Can you hear this? There's a little bit of a gap here, which means the frame is not flat. That actually fixed it a little. It just tweaked, pulled itself over. Okay, that did not help the twistedness of this. I think what we're going to have to do, although I think it's, surprisingly, I think it's in that piece. Okay, so I did a little bit off camera, so I wasn't sure how long that was going to take. So there's still wobble, and I feel like you can feel that wobble, or you can hear it maybe. But I think it's the table, because if I go 45 degrees, substantially less, almost none. So I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I'm ready to move on. And just so happens the next step is to put some leveling feet on. So any issue I have with leveling, that's going to be out the window. So that's going to be, okay. These are the leveling feet. And we're just going to go ahead and put those right here. There's even like a little set screw there, but I think to start with, or a lock nut, I'm just going to put them in most of the way. Just make sure they're not tight. I'll just do that all the way around here quick. Alright, now we can quit scratching my workbench. Yep, there's the wobble, but I don't care. Just going to adjust those. Not bad. Alright. Nice and solid. And there you have the frame. That is pretty good sized. I'm excited. So the next step is to install the base plates. These are the base plates. From what I can tell, this needs to go in the back. It's going to go something like this. And this is going to go in the front like that. Ooh. That's interesting. Oh, that'd be why. Okay, that's pretty good. Cool. All right, we're going to the other side. Okay, so this is the completed frame, or at least the completed steps in the frame section. So it's pretty solid. It's massive. These rubber feet are really nice. They're adjusted, so I mean, I wish you could feel that, but it's pretty solid. I'm very happy with it. We're looking at the back side right now. Hope you enjoyed this enough that you can stay tuned for the next video.